Hello everybody, Kristen here and welcome back to my channel. If you're interested in minimalism, simplifying, and healthy living, then stick around. So in this video, I'm going to be talking a little bit about decision fatigue. So what is decision fatigue? Well, according to Dr. McLean, a psychiatrist, decision fatigue is this idea that after making many decisions, your ability to make more and more decisions throughout the day becomes worse. So the more decisions you have to make, then the more fatigued you're going to become. How do we change that? How do we shift that? 10 different ways in which I reduce decision fatigue for myself. First ways that I reduce decision fatigue is by streamlining my choices. So an example of kind of streamlining my choices and some of the ways that I do this, number one is by having a consistent wake up time and a consistent bedtime. Now this is not true 100% of the time, don't get me wrong, I struggle with this sometimes, but having a consistent routine of this is around the time that I go to bed and this is around the time that I wake up is definitely going to help you in reducing that decision fatigue, because again, you're building that routine. You don't have to think about it. Your routine isn't like thrown off. You're not having to make a bunch of choices in terms of your routine because your routine is very consistent and you know what time you're gonna wake up and what time you're gonna go to bed. Number two is I always pick out my outfit the night before. So that way I'm kind of set, ready to go. I know what I'm gonna wear and I have that outfit picked up. So right away when I get up in the morning, I don't have to make that decision. When I get up, I can get ready, I can get dressed. It doesn't take me long. I have my outfit picked out. I know I'm gonna brush my teeth and wash my face. I'm not having to make all those decisions. And I also usually plan out in terms of like what I'm gonna eat for breakfast as well, which is usually like oatmeal, scrambled eggs, a piece of fruit. I usually keep it pretty simple. Sometimes I'll do a smoothie if I have more time, but I know what I'm gonna eat, what I'm gonna wear, what makeup I'm gonna put on, how I'm gonna do my hair. Like those decisions are not decisions I'm having to make. Because if I start off my day like that and have all these decisions that I have to make before I even get to work, when I get to work, I'm already depleted and I've already reached the point of decision fatigue and my day has barely even started. Number three, the third thing that I do is I create a list of like intentions, goals, things I need to do the night before. So for example, tomorrow is Wednesday. So I will make a list tonight of things I need to do, some of which is buy certain groceries. So I'm gonna write a list of groceries I need to buy and I also need to pay my rent. So I will write that list out so that way I'm not having to make any other decisions tomorrow. I have the list ready to go to reduce decision fatigue tomorrow. That's what I've been doing for a while now, and it does genuinely help me not only remember things easier, but also reduces the amount of decisions that I'm making. Tip number four is I have a very consistent routine when it comes to like my workouts. So I have pretty much the same workouts that I'll do that I'll rotate through, whether that's arm workouts, whether it's leg workouts, whether it's when I run or when I bike. I bike and I run a consistent path pretty much every single time. This isn't to say that I never change it up, but the reality is that running and having a specific course allows me to just kind of bike or run and shut off my brain and not really think about it. I'm not having to make a decision of like, oh, am I going to go on this trail or am I go right, left, straight? I don't have to make all those decisions and wear out my brain. I simply can go on autopilot because I know and I've used that path a million times. Tip number five, which I've kind of already talked about a little bit, but that is to have consistent meals. Plan out and have consistent meals throughout the week. It kind of goes along with the whole grocery store thing. Reduce decisions that you're having to make at the grocery store by writing down a specific brand you want. So that way you're not having to choose between multiple options. You know exactly what you're grabbing and exactly what you're getting. That goes for your meals. You know, planning out and figuring out exactly what you're going to eat so you're not having to make all these decisions of like, well, what am I going to eat this day or that day? And so one of the ways I do this is by meal prepping. I will meal prep usually on weekends if I have time and cook meals throughout the week. So I basically have 2 to 3 meals to choose from, and I will have set days that I'm eating and kind of rotating through the 2 to 3 meals. I know that this doesn't work for everybody, but for me, this has definitely helped me reduce that decision fatigue, and then I know exactly what I'm eating, what I'm nourishing my body with every single day. Tip number 6 is I automate my bills as best as I can. I can't automate all of them or they charge me extra for it, but a lot of my bills are automated. I would say probably 90% of them are automated. They are just withdrawn out of my banking, and it makes my life so much easier. I don't have to remember to take money out or to go and pay bills. The one thing I do that cannot be automated is I have to pay rent with a check. That's just required for my landlord. That's his requirement. So I don't really have a choice in that matter. I would automate my rent otherwise, but everything else in terms of bills and stuff, I have automated. So I don't really have to think about it. It's a basic thing that just happens. Tip number 7 is I use GPS. I use my phone, as I know probably a lot of you guys do too, but using your phone or your GPS when traveling can be really helpful, or just when you're getting from point A to point B, or when you just maybe don't know the best route. You can use your phone and your phone will make all those decisions for you. I mean, think in just a span of like 30 minutes. If you're going somewhere new, how many different turns, exits, lanes, etc., things and decisions you're having to make if you're traveling through a town or through a city and it's somewhere you don't know. That's a lot of decisions and that's a lot of brain power. And so if you can just run on autopilot essentially and let your phone do the work for you, that's going to be very helpful, and it's going to help reduce that decision fatigue. Tip number 8, the 8th thing that I do is I make major decisions from like 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Now this is different for everybody, but I found for myself, I do not make the best decisions right away when I get up in the morning, and I also don't make the best decisions later on in the evening. This is typically when I make more impulsive decisions, when I make decisions with less thought, and when I make decisions when I'm essentially burnt out and tired and exhausted. That's my pro tip, at least that works for me, is find a time of day that works best for you and try as best as you can to make any major decisions, whether that's with regards to work, home life, relationships. Make those major decisions in that time frame. The 9th thing that I do is have learned to kind of accept my decisions that I make instead of constantly second guessing myself. I will note and just say that I feel like through decluttering and getting rid of a lot of my items, I've become a lot better at not second guessing myself and being super indecisive about things. And I think that's because I have a lot less inventory. So I have less clothes. So I have less decisions to make in terms of what I'm gonna wear. I've curated a good amount of items that works well for me and items that I value and that are easy to take care of, whereas before I had so many items I was caring for, so many more decisions I was having to make, and that was exhausting. And I typically will also just say no. I will say no to something at least once every single day. For example, because I'm introverted and I have a limit in terms of what I can do and what I can handle. So for me personally, I can handle 2 nights a week where I'm going out. So maybe one night I'm going out and have supper with a friend, and then another night I'm doing game night. Okay, so that's 2 nights a week, which means I've hit my cap for the week, and that means that if someone else asks me, hey, do you want to go out? I'm gonna be like, hey, sorry. And I've hit my emotional and social cap, so I'm not gonna exceed that just to please other people. Number 11 is to delegate and to let other people make decisions. So oftentimes I used to be the one that would always make decisions, but now I will actually delegate tasks and delegate out other people to make decisions. So for example, okay, let's go out to eat, let's make a plan to go out to eat, and I will let my friends or family member, whoever I'm going out with, decide where we're going out to eat. Because that means I don't have to decide. It means it's one less decision that I have to make that day. The last thing that I do is cutting out things that just aren't important to me. So for example, going out and going clubbing or going out and going partying, that's not really my style. That's not my vibe. I'd much rather be at a library or chilling at home, watching a movie with a friend or a family member. To me, that's just not my thing. And so again, kind of goes back to saying no. I'm gonna say no. Like, I'm gonna set limits here and I'm gonna cut things off that just are not bringing me value, things I don't enjoy, things that are going to emotionally drain me. This is my 12 tips on how I reduce decision fatigue, and a lot of it comes down to reducing my inventory, delegating out tasks, learning to say no, automating things as much as I can. Please comment down below if you guys have tried any of these before, or what are some ways that you reduce your decision fatigue. I would love to hear that. But otherwise, it is a beautiful day to simplify. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye.